Hello, welcome back. I'm just going to jump right into this show. Here in front of me is the Trump stage again. Just recently, I just got finished watching 4 hours of U.S. representatives grill a now fired or resigned U.S. Secret Service director who was just ousted from her job. During the whole demonstration in the House, one thing that always nudged at me, it was the actual agents who were on the rooftop who had a bird's eye view of the sniper or the shooter. Whenever those individuals were brought up, when the Secret Service director was asked about them, she was asked to identify those agents, and she's under oath. She's under oath, and she's in there under a subpoena. She refused to answer it. She said she would do it not in a public setting. Now, that's understandable, but to find out what actually happened, you're going to have to go back to the guys who were on top of that roof. Let me go back to this part here. This is the Trump stage.
Important structures or buildings we need to understand. This is the Trump stage, and just above him is the audience section where a selected number of people is seated. This structure is also very important as it is where the Secret Service personnel are located and snipers are positioned.
Get a good view of this, a good look at this. These were the gentlemen who actually put the fatal shots into the shooter after he took the shot at President Trump. Why isn't the focus on these two snipers? I would have to ask, when did you see the shooter, Crooks, on the opposite side of the field with a AR-15 pointed at the stage of Donald Trump? 2, were you giving a stand down order? 3, why did you wait until after he took the shot? Now keep this in mind. These two snipers up here, if they would have taken out the shooter or the Crooks, who's on the opposite field of them, if they would have taken him out before he took the shots, these two guys right here, these two sharpshooters, would have been national heroes. National heroes. We don't know anything about them because the circumstances that are surrounding them are so murky, and we're not getting any information or a timeline on what happened between these two sharpshooters right here. Out of all the hours of me watching representative after representative, now you have the PA top official giving his input, the U.S. Secret Service director giving her input, but we need to be hearing from these two shooters, sharpshooters, right here on this roof. Why did you wait until after Crooks, the shooter, let off 6 shots at Trump, hitting Trump, and blowing up the head of a former fire chief who was trying to protect his family. We need to know more about these two gentlemen right here. Now, before I leave this, I'm going to bring you back to this right here, to this gentleman. Pay close attention.
Onto the roof where the sniper was. A clear, eyes-on, clear shot of the president. A tree blocked the Secret Service's view. This kid did some investigation. He had a drone out there days prior.
Did you get that? It was real quick. Let me play that again.
A tree blocked the Secret Service's view. This kid did some investigation.
A tree blocked the view of those same Secret Service agents that I was just talking about. Remember the word plausible deniability. Let me get back to that. Plausible deniability. The beautiful thing about the whole setup where Trump was at, the stage is still there. I'm talking about not the actual stage Trump was on, the building the snipers were on is still there, or the Secret Service snipers were on, as well as the building crooks the shooter was on. You know where everyone was at. You know their exact position. Anybody could go up there and take a look and see what they actually saw. They had no problem shooting him after the shots were taken on Trump. No problem at all. Now keep this in mind, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. This is just me doing my own investigation on what I saw at that Trump rally. Why isn't those two Secret Service agents being questioned in front of these same House representatives? Why are they being hidden from us? Why was the former United States Secret Service director being so secretive when asked about those two sharpshooters? Now, I have more here.
He had a drone out there days prior, got an aerial surveillance of the premises, and that position was probably the best position outside the perimeter as far as I could tell. There was also a water tower that would have been a perfect spot for Secret Service. Were you aware of any presence of Secret Service in this water tower?
I was not. Do you agree with the assessment of the former Secret Service director that the roof was so sloped that it created safety concerns?
I can't agree with that statement, sir.
When I was taking a tour of that farm in Butler, Pennsylvania yesterday, I had local law enforcement officers, local electeds coming to me, whispering to me, there's more here to the story. We need to talk about what actually happened.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying right there. This is an elected official talking about the same exact thing that I'm talking about right now. There's something else going on behind this. Now, they're going to try to manufacture a story, and you're seeing it play out right now, right in front of our eyes. There's a train of thought that there's something more here. Then there's another group saying, no, it was just a series of unfortunate events that led us to this tragic event. No. That's not going to work here. That is not going to work here. And to whoever is behind this, or whoever behind this, it's not going to work. We've seen this before. We've seen this in history before when dealing with other top officials or presidents being killed right in front of our eyes. Now, I'll get back to that. I'm gonna let this gentleman finish saying what he has to say.
If I understand correctly, this is from the second story window of the AGR building. You can see that window it goes out from the sash and swings out to the right. There's an aerial photo right after Crooks was killed, where Crooks' body's on the roof, and that window was open. Was it from this vantage point that those ESU officers spotted Crooks?
I don't know that particular window, but my understanding is from a second story window is where he was initially spotted.
Are you getting that? The same roof that Crooks was on, that the Secret Service director said the reason why no one was on top of that roof was because it was a sloped roof. But in the building that was actually connected to this roof, you see this? This is a window that they're looking at. This is the actual roof that Crooks, the shooter who took shots at Trump, let off 6 shots, hitting Trump and killing a former fire chief, that window was being manned by local law enforcement. If the law enforcement were in that window right there looking out at that exact same roof, someone told them to leave that position, to leave that room where they would have had a bird's eye view of the actual shooter. We're told that they left the room to go look for Crooks, the shooter. But if they would have stayed there, Crooks would have came right there to them and would have been laid out right there. They would have had their eyes on the shooter. This is the window where law enforcement were set up, local law enforcement were set up to secure this building that they said they didn't want anyone on top of the roof because it was a sloped roof. The agents, the local officials, the local police that were in that building to secure it were told to leave, to go look for the shooter who just so happened to walk right past the window that they were at. Remember the word, plausible deniability. Plausible deniability. I was told to leave. Who told you to leave? Who told him to leave? Oh, we were leaving to go look for the shooter. But if you would have stayed there, the shooter would have came right to you. They have created this loop, this plausible deniability loop. There's almost this shell game that they're playing. Now you see me, now you don't. This is what they're doing right in front of our eyes. Now, pay attention.
Okay, so are you then saying that, to your knowledge, those ESU officers left the location where they could look out the window to go in search of this person?
That is my understanding.
Sometime before the time between the time he was spotted on the ground and identified as someone suspicious until the shooting, they had left that post to go look for him. Is that what you're saying?
My understanding is yes, along with other municipal officers that responded to that area.
It's 100 yards away, it's elevated, direct line of fire to the president. I stood on that roof, no problem standing on that roof, and yes, I am 7 years old. Okay.
Now, pay attention to this. I'm gonna get back to this part later. As this gentleman is giving his speech on what happened there, right behind them, they put up a board to help you along through this whole travesty that happened with Trump. The U.S. Secret Service failed to do their job. Now, they already have fired the U.S. Secret Service director. They want you to be happy with just that. The Secret Service failed, and that's it. That's not going to work here. For something like this to happen, it takes more. There are more pieces to the puzzle here that they are trying to just push to the side, that they're trying to clean up. Because for something like this to happen, there must be a conspiracy. And they're trying to push that type of talk to the side. Keep this in mind, because the Secret Service wasn't in that building looking over the roof where Crooks, the shooter, was at. The Secret Service had nothing to do with that. That was the local police department. You get it? The Secret Service failed to do their job. As he's speaking, they put this sign up right behind him. Do you understand? Secret Service wasn't in that building where Crooks was at, the shooter. Local police department was there. Who told the local police department to leave their post? Were they undermanned? These are the questions that need to be answered. None of that is being answered here. This is all talk. This is all show. Listen, that's all great, but we need to be finding out more about the gentleman who were on top of that roof. Let me let this play out.
Okay. So the timeline is very important here. If in fact they thought that Mr. Brooks was so suspicious that they actually pulled the ESU counter snipers away, because there were counter snipers, what I understand, standing in that window, a way to look for him. And from what I understand the timeline, it's about 20 minutes before the president came out. Was that information relayed to the Secret Service, that they were looking for a suspicious individual and that people had been pulled away to look for that suspicious individual? Was that relayed to the Secret Service?
I believe that it was.
And was that relayed to the Secret Service, the team that surrounds the president himself?
I can't answer that. There was a text thread that was going, I've been briefed, between the ESU members.
Keep this in mind. Everyone knew that Crooks was roaming around that fairground. A suspicious subject. A suspicious individual. And from what I'm getting, he was the only suspicious individual out of that whole fairground situation with Trump. And he just magically outmaneuvered local police and the Secret Service and Overwatch. Overwatch, what I guess was some type of surveillance from the sky where they were watching this whole thing. He outmaneuvered all of that. And the story that we're getting is, hey, the Secret Service failed to do their job. Secret Service wasn't in that building looking over the roof, directly over the roof where Crooks was at.
They identified, they took a photo of him at some point when he utilized the rangefinder. The suspicion was heightened. So I know at a certain point in the command post, a member of PSP received a phone call and a text message.
Hope you're getting that. They had eyes on him the whole time. The moment he pulled out the rangefinder, this is out the colonel's mouth. When he pulled out that rangefinder, they said, oh God, this guy means business. His security risk went up. And from that point to where he wound up on the roof and took off and let off 6 shots on Trump, no one knew where he was at. No one knew where he was at. And they expect all of us to believe that. Because the moment we don't believe that, then it opens up the realm of conspiracy. And there's no politician on this planet who wants to deal with that. Because you're going to have to look at yourselves in the mirror. You're going to have to look at your colleagues in the mirror. You understand? That's what you're looking at. Let me let this play out. Let me bring you back to this one. This is the same roof and the same window looking out to where Crooks was at.
It was 2 different officers that were hoisted to get a look at him, not the ones who were manned in this view.
That is my understanding, yes, sir.
Okay. So had they remained in there, they immediately would have seen the incident taking place, that they were on the same line of communication, and they could have taken the asset out.
I'm remiss to say that because I don't know what their general rules of engagement and assignment were.
You get that? He's remiss to say. Look, let me bring you back to this. Compromised authority. Compromised authority, the authority to execute the mission without specified permission if the assault force is compromised. They could have taken out this shooter at any given time. No questions asked. This man was walking around with a rangefinder, a backpack, and an AR-15. We've seen this before. Let me bring you back to Dealey, Texas. I talked about the exact same thing that we're talking about right now. Almost 60 years ago, the exact date, November 22nd, 1963, John F. Kennedy, the 35th president, was gunned down right in front of a group of people in open field on national TV, where his brains were blown out. You understand? This is me talking about what's happening right now to this day. The same thing that happened back then tried to repeat itself with Trump.
Where he was shot in Dealey Plaza. And we still today, 60 years later, have not got a complete story and the release of every single document relating to these brothers' deaths. Is a disgrace to anyone who's ever held the title of president in this country, because if it can happen to them, it can happen to you. Senator, president, judge, it doesn't matter, because the people who move like this, who move in the dark, they're still living to this day, because it's the mindset that does this. As long as there is a transparency, and as long as these people are able to move in the dark, they'll continue to move like this if you Don't play ball with them in this country. I myself have came across the same mindset in this country.
Look, I'm gonna leave it at that, but I was talking right there about a conspiracy in this country. This is the same thing the Kennedy brothers were talking about. I'm talking about John F. Kennedy and his brother, Bobby, who were both assassinated on their fight against organized crime. When John F. Kennedy was assassinated, his brother Bobby said the same thing. There's a conspiracy going on. There's a conspiracy in the highest levels of government. He was using words like shadowy group, deep state, shadow government. Do you understand? This has been playing out right in front of the American citizens for quite a long time. Let me bring you back to this. What a conspiracy looks like, what a cover-up looks like. Are you familiar with the word magic bullet? The single bullet theory. This has to do with the Kennedy assassination. The same politicians that were supposed to look into the assassination of Kennedy, rather than deal with the actual facts and look at the conspiracy or the cover-up, they came up with the term, the magic bullet, the single bullet theory. Now, let me explain. I'm gonna let this video play.
The FBI concluded that all 3 bullets struck inside the car.
In particular, the first and the third, the second shot hit the gun. These third shots had torn a large part of the president's head off.
The Warren Commission put itself in a straitjacket. They could not possibly allow more than 3 shots, because 4 shots or more would have clearly indicated conspiracy, and they were not going there.
Now, standing down for the underpass, the curve was very visible. Mark where a bullet had struck. There a fragment of the bullet scratched my face.
Records show the first shot had missed its target completely, and the final shot hit Kennedy in the head. So how does one account for 1 bullet hitting 2 victims and doing all this damage? Carl Inspector was a Yale Law School graduate working in the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office when he was asked to serve on the Warren Commission.
Aha! What if 1 bullet made all 7 wounds? Our inspector, he is the one that gave birth to the single bullet theory. What if 1 bullet went into Kennedy's back and came out his neck, and then went into Connie's back, piercing the lung, destroying 4 inches of the right 5th rib, exiting from the front of his chest, going into the back of the wrist, shattering the distal end of the radius, and a 6'4" guy like Connie, that's a big heavy bone, comminuted fracture, exits from the front of the wrist, goes into his left thigh. Whatever you want, whatever you need, this bullet happily and readily obliges you. It is indeed a magic bullet.
Are you getting that? The same team that was supposed to go and investigate the assassination of sitting President John F. Kennedy came up with the magic bullet theory, the only bullet in history to defy physics. And these were the people who were supposed to investigate it. You understand? Listen, let me bring you back to this video that I did. I talked about this exact same thing. I said, in order for something like this to happen, all parties must be in agreement. All parties. Let me let this play.
Your podcasters, the people that you get your news from, your media, you're going to get everything else said about what's going on in this country
besides this word, tyranny. This is what it looks like. Now, in a tyranny, in order for it to be run effectively, you need all parties to be in agreement. You're gonna need the politicians, certain politicians, you're gonna need media, and you're gonna need, let's just say, these agencies, whether it be any of these agencies, intelligence agencies. Now, I'm gonna go into that later. If you're paying attention here, you're seeing the exact same thing play out. The puppet masters, the manipulators, who's ever behind this, whatever shadowy group is behind this, they're putting together a package that they're going to present to the American people, and they're hoping that you accept it. Listen, we are 60 years away from the Kennedy assassinations, where a group of politicians put together a package that they presented in front of the American people, and it was called the magic bullet. And that generation believed it. You understand? They believed that package. They believed in the magic bullet theory, that bullet, the only bullet in history to defy physics itself, instead of looking at the real problem, that there was something else behind this, that there was a conspiracy to kill John F. Kennedy. You understand? The same people that were supposed to investigate it came up with this whole story. And you're seeing it play out right now. The same Warren Commission that was set out to investigate it, the FBI was involved. FBI, who are investigating the Trump attempted assassination, the same people who are behind this whole thing, the same agencies, the same groups, the same agencies, the same groups who brought you the magic bullet theory will have you to believe that everything that happened on that Butler Fairground was a series of unfortunate events that led to a breakdown, which led to Trump almost being assassinated in the same manner that Kennedy was assassinated. In the same manner. We have a chance in this day and time. We are the grandchildren of the previous generation, 60 years ago, where we failed, literally failed as a nation by letting these politicians and these shadowy groups get away with what they did. And still to this day, we still can't get all the information pertaining to those Kennedy brothers being killed. I know I keep saying this over and over again. The son of Bobby Kennedy still to this day can't get all the information pertaining to his father being killed. Even with Joe Biden even stating, give him what he asked for, he still hasn't gotten it. He was ignored. This is what a cover-up looks like. This is what a tyranny looks like. A small group of people who has absolute power over the politicians, the media, the government. I told you, if you don't stop this stuff, it will continue to happen. It will continue to happen over and over and over again. History will continue to repeat itself until we take a stand to stop this stuff. Look, I'll leave it at that.